Dímelo, mi gente. What is up? I am Jose G, and welcome to the brand new show here on Ozone Gold Media, Crypto Corner with Jose G, where I'm going to bring all sorts of news in the cryptocurrency world, digital asset world, get you guys prepared for the new financial future, and break down complex topics into simple terms. I am very excited for today's episode because I am with the CEO of Ozone Gold Media, the one and only Miss Heaven Gilmore, joining me today for this brand new episode of Crypto Corner. Heaven, good morning. I should say good afternoon. How are you? How's your day going?
Good afternoon, Jose. Going pretty good. Happy to be here with you for Crypto Corner Fridays.
Let's
Thanks for
go.
having me.
No, thank you for giving me the platform to talk about everything that's happening in this new asset class. I know that cryptocurrency has been kind of like frowned upon over the last like 10 years or so. It's been, sketchy here and there, but there's been so many developments in the world. And I know in our other show, Hot Topic Safe Pockets, we talk about all the unexpected things that can happen with life, but this is also one of those unexpected things that it's happening to our financial system. And in today's episode, I wanted to give the audience and I wanted to give you also kind of an introduction into what is cryptocurrency, what is blockchain, what is Bitcoin, and what the institutions are doing right now to get themselves ready for the new financial system. So, Heaven, with that being said, have you had any chance to look, research, or dive into any of these crypto topics in the past?
Listen, Jose, for all intent and purposes, my part in today's show and any future shows that I take part in will be to act as if I'm completely brand new. And in
I
my
love it.
opinion, I really am. Uh, Jose, my background for over 20 years has been in different areas of wealth management, finance, entertainment, you name it. The one area where I'm weak is cryptocurrency. Okay, so we're glad to have your show. We know that it's going to help a lot of people to learn some valuable information. One thing that's very important for any investors is having different investing vehicles, having diversity. So I'm ready to get into it. I'm ready to learn.
Let's go. Well, I'm super excited for today, guys. Again, welcome to Crypto Corner. Make sure you like and share today's show. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you share it in your favorite finance group on Facebook. Share it in your favorite chat on WhatsApp or on Instagram. The whole point of this is so we can share all of this information so we can all get ready for the new financial system that's just right around the corner. And if you don't believe me, I have some interesting videos that we're going to cover today that might change your mind on that. All right, guys. Today's show is brought to you by Merlin Crypto. It is the smartest way to track your crypto. You can get Merlin Crypto 30 days for free. We have the link in the description. It is a fantastic platform that allows you to connect every single exchange where you are where you store your crypto all in one place. So that way you don't have to change one exchange to another exchange. It's all available in one place. It's a fantastic platform where you can create your own exit strategy. So make sure you sign up for Merlin Crypto 30 days absolutely free. I have that link in the description ready for you guys. All right, guys. Also, make sure you give us the follow on all of our social media. You can give me a follow at Gonzalez Media TV, and you can give us a follow as well at Ozone Gold Media. And make sure after today's show, if you like everything that you heard, schedule a free financial planning consultation with me or with Heaven. We'll have the link in the description for you guys. All right. So today's episode is an introduction to the world of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And the reason I'm bringing it back to the basics because there are a lot of people here in the United States that are just finding out what is cryptocurrency, what is Bitcoin, and there's been so much advances in the technology in the financial sector when it comes to cryptocurrency that we're starting to see a lot of big institutional investors starting to have some exposure to cryptocurrency. So first wanted to start off today's show with introducing and explaining what is cryptocurrency, right? Because everybody's like, well, it's just digital money. It's fake money. It's money that exists on the internet. And that is true. So I do have a slide here, and if you'll notice right over here, cryptocurrency is a type of digital money that exists only online. It uses special computer technology called blockchain to keep transactions secure, transparent, and almost impossible to change. Unlike dollars or pesos, cryptocurrencies aren't controlled by the banks or the government. Now, blockchain, that's a very important word here. Blockchain. Have you heard of blockchain before, Heaven?
I have heard of blockchain before, yes.
Do you know what it is?
Not exactly.
Not exactly. Everybody says he's like, I've heard of the blockchain, but what is the blockchain? So the blockchain, in simple terms, it's a digital ledger. Okay.
Mhm.
It keeps everything, all the transactions in one place. So right over here, the digital ledger, think of it as a digital notebook that records all the transactions, and all these transactions are public. People can see which transactions and how much to which address it's being sent to. It's also decentralized, so instead of one company controlling it, copies are stored across many computers worldwide. It's secure and transparent. Going back to the public ledger, once something is written on that blockchain, it's very hard to change, and everyone can see what's on the record. So that's why it's so transparent, because it's available to the public. Block and chains. Transactions are grouped into blocks, and each block is linked to the chain to the previous one, creating a timeline of data. So is if you can see right over here, this is kind of like what a blockchain looks like. So let's just say Heaven has, 1 Bitcoin here and is sending me, half a Bitcoin. Well, that transaction will be recorded on this first block and on that second block. So it's always visible to whoever wants to monitor those transactions. The uses for the blockchain, originally it was built for Bitcoin, but it's now used in finance, supply chains, healthcare, voting systems, and many, many more. Why is blockchain so important? The reason I wanted to talk about this today, Heaven, is because we're moving into a phase in our financial system where everything is going to be tokenized. Tokenized just means that whatever document that you have, like your birth certificate, your the deed to your title, to your home, things like that will all be available digitally, and everything will be on the blockchain. So we're not going to need physical papers anymore, because things are going to be digitized and are going to be stored on the blockchain. Your driver's license, your tax records, everything is moving into blockchain technology. Why? Because it's secure and it's way
Right,
faster than what it was before,
right.
right? And the reason why blockchain is being used in finance is because the situation that we have with our current financial system right now is that money moves too slow. It moves too slow. Right now, if you're trying to send money internationally, that money has to go through the central bank, through the SWIFT
Mhm.
system. You got to pay it. You got to pay a fee, and it still takes 7 to 10 days to reach its
Right.
destination. So with blockchain technology, you cut that time into a fraction, right? So we're talking with Bitcoin originally, we're talking in less than 24 hours. Now there's many other types of cryptocurrency out there that can deliver that same money in 30 seconds. So the banks are looking at this as, okay, now we're going to have real liquidity, real movement of money. Everything else around our world right now moves at the speed of light. You will take a picture, and it can go viral the same day. That's how connected we are right now. The only thing that hasn't caught up is our money. So this is where cryptocurrency comes in, and where Bitcoin is. Now, Bitcoin is the very first cryptocurrency created. It was created back in
Mhm.
2009. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories behind that, because the Bitcoin was created, one, right after the BRICS nations were inaugurated in
Yep.
2009. Okay. And it happened right after the housing crisis. So there's a lot of people that speculate that Bitcoin and bricks were all created around the same time due to what happened in around the housing crisis in 2007, 2008. So with Bitcoin, I wanted to share this really quick and kind of give you a quick explanation of Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin is the first and most famous cryptocurrency created in 2009 and works as digital cash that people can send directly to each other anywhere in the world without needing a bank. It's often called digital gold because many people use it as a way to store value. And that's the key I wanted to talk about right there
All
with
right.
you, Heaven. Store of
Yeah.
value. Okay. Before, Bitcoin wasn't being treated as a store of value. It was just kind of being treated as, another type of currency. But over the last 5 years, something interesting has happened with Bitcoin. You're looking at companies like BlackRock, the biggest asset manager in the world. Probably, I think they manage over $26 trillion in the world. They're the biggest. If you have anything in your home, BlackRock probably owns it. Okay.
Right.
Vanguard, Fidelity, the main institutions have now pivoted and have started adding Bitcoin as a reserve to their balance sheets because they believe that Bitcoin is a store of value, just like gold. It's digital gold, right? And don't take my word for it. I have videos here from the CEO of BlackRock claiming that Bitcoin was created originally for money laundering, illegal activities, all sorts of crazy stuff. But then
Yeah.
something interesting happened in 2023, and his entire energy and vibe towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrency drastically changed. So I have that video here for you, and I want to get your reaction on this really quick. So let me bring that video up. Have it right
All
here.
right.
So this is the first video. This is 2019. Listen to what Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, is saying about Bitcoin and crypto.
What I think about most of these cryptocurrencies, it just identifies how much money laundering there is being done in the world.
Don't your clients want crypto exposure?
No, I don't believe any client has sought out crypto exposure.
I think you called Bitcoin an index of money laundering. Do you remember that?
I do. So I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold. What I think about most of
So that's the first clip of him flip-flopping. Now here's another one where he is being interviewed on CNBC and he's being asked about the changes to crypto. So let me share this one and then I want to get your thoughts.
You have been a leader in willing to embrace crypto. You have made it so that people can be in Bitcoin. We hear that you are thinking about Ethereum. These are incredible things. Now BlackRock is not known as a gunslinger by any means. So you obviously must believe that this maybe is an alternative. Is this an alternative in order to be able, because of a deficit, maybe something long-term people should have?
Absolutely. As you know, I was a skeptic.
Yes.
I was a proud skeptic.
He said it. He was a skeptic. He said
did.
it that he
Yeah.
was a skeptic. Now keep listening.
And I studied it, learned about it, and I came away saying, okay, my opinion 5 years ago was wrong. Here's my opinion today. This is what I believe in today. I believe the opportunity today. I believe Bitcoin is legitimate. I'm not trying to say there's not misuses like everything else, but it is a legitimate financial instrument that allows you to have maybe uncorrelated, non-correlated type of returns. I believe it is an instrument that you invest in when you're more frightened, though. Right. It is an instrument when you believe that countries are debasing their currency, debasing their currency by excess deficits, and some countries are. I believe we have countries where you're frightened of your everyday existence, and if you have an opportunity to invest in something that is outside your country's control, then you can have more financial control. And so I'm a major believer that there is a role for Bitcoin in portfolios. I believe you're going to see that as one of the asset classes that we all look at. I look at it as digital gold, as I said before, and I do believe there's a real need for everyone to look at it as one alternative to, I would say, the optimism that I have in the world. If you want to hedge hope, Bitcoin is not an instrument for hope unless you're hopeful you're going to make a lot of money on it. But I look at it as a vehicle in which you're expressing your financial acumen in something that you're more frightened of the world, you're more frightened of your existence. And I believe there's a great industrial use for it. And I think a lot of people are missing that.
So you heard it right there. He admitted that he flip-flopped, that he was the biggest skeptic on Bitcoin, but he studied it, he understands it, he knows the utility behind it. And now we see the CEO of the biggest asset manager in the world now has exposure to Bitcoin. So, Heaven, now with that information being thrown at you, and some of that simple information at the beginning, what are your thoughts on the video from the CEO of BlackRock, kind of flip flopping on Bitcoin? And has your sentiment on Bitcoin or cryptocurrency changed a little bit in these first few minutes?
Yeah, so right off, what comes to mind is anything new is always something that people are afraid of. Most people live off of the theory, well, I'll wait until I see it work for you, right? And we saw that happen with Bitcoin, right? In the very beginning, people were like, hey, go ahead and invest in this Bitcoin thing. Most people, nah. Same thing with Apple Watch, right? And so later on, people who invested early in Bitcoin, their pennies turned into thousands, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, right? So we got a chance to kind of see that take off. So when you got in, I always tell people, get on the train when the train is empty, get in and be at the front of the train. Don't wait until it's loaded and full of people and stink really bad. And, it's not the same kind of ride for you. Okay. So a lot of people miss that Bitcoin train in the early stages. I definitely was one of those skeptics that was like, no. But here's the thing, 20 plus years in wealth management, along with insurance. And what you find is that you continue to learn something new all of the time. No one has it completely down pat. A few are very close. We have some people that are dead on the money. They know exactly what they're doing out here. But in terms of Bitcoin specifically, I do believe in it. I'm not going to call out the name of the company or anything, but there was a point in time where I was dealing with a company that had a coin that was backed by physical gold. Okay. And for what it was worth, it was a great initiative. Now, that company did have to see its closure for other reasons. But I've played with the crypto market, and I know that Bitcoin has its benefits. What I'd like for you to maybe help me with and help others with is kind of going over the secure side, of Bitcoin. Why is it a place to maybe move money from one vehicle, say your checking or your savings account or your retirement account, and put a portion of it to Bitcoin? What does that do for an individual?
Well, I love that you asked that question because that actually kind of goes into our next part of the show. Because Larry Fink said something very important while he was responding in that last video. And the thing that he said was that you see all these different countries debasing their money, right? And debasing the money is something that's actually kind of happening right now. Uh, Not in the way that he's describing it, but when you look at the power of how the US dollar has acted around the world over the last 50 years, it's been the world reserve currency for a long, long time. If you have a dollar, people see that and they're like, okay, you got buying power. But here's the thing, the dollar's not backed by anything. There's no gold backing it. There's really no other type of asset backing it. Really, what's backing it is our pure belief and speculation on the dollar, right?
It's a piece of paper. It
It really
catches
is.
fire
It
and
really is.
it's lost. Last time I checked, I believe over 90 to 95% of its buying power.
Exactly, exactly. If you just even rewind, 25, 30 years ago, we had
Mhm.
way more buying power with the dollar than what we have right now.
Sure.
Inflation also is, robbing you of that buying power. So Bitcoin, some investors look at it as a hedge against inflation. Now, when you look at the macroeconomic level of Bitcoin, just in the last year or two, Bitcoin has done over 135% gain, right?
Mhm.
And if you look at the macro level since 2009, it's just up, 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 right? So when you look at it at a macro level, you're getting a lot more buying power and a lot more money, bang for your buck when you have some Bitcoin in your portfolio. But
Gotcha.
here's something that I wanted to share with you though, because when I was talking about the debasing of currency and the changing of the reserve currency around the world, that's something that's been cyclical and that's been happening for the last 600 or 700 years. There's a billionaire, institutional billionaire. His name is Ray Dalio. Has a fantastic book that I recommend every single one of you to watch. It's called The Changing World Order. And what this book talks about, it talks about the different world orders throughout history, the different empires, and the different world reserve currencies. And what he's explaining is that most reserve currencies only last 100 to 150 years. The United States, we're way overdue right now. So I do have this short video that I want to kind of show you because this will kind of tie in everything together. And then we have also a quick clip of Ray Dalio being interviewed about the topic of cryptocurrency, and his answer will surprise you. So let's check this out really quick, and then I want to get your thoughts on both of these videos. So
I'm ready for it.
let me bring this one up. Here we go.
I studied the 10 most powerful empires over the last 500 years and the last 3 reserve currencies. It took me through the rise and decline of the Dutch Empire and the guilder, the British Empire and the pound, the rise and early decline in the United States Empire and the dollar, and the decline and rise of the Chinese Empire and its currencies, as well as the rise and decline of the Spanish, German, French, Indian, Japanese, Russian, and Ottoman empires, along with their significant conflicts, as measured in this chart. To understand China's patterns better, I also studied the rise and fall of Chinese dynasties and their monies back to the year 600. Because looking at all these measures at once can be confusing, I'll focus on the 4 most important ones: the Dutch, British, US, and Chinese. You'll quickly notice the pattern. Now let's simplify the form a bit. As you can see, they transpired in overlapping cycles that lasted about 250 years, with 10 to 20-year transition periods between them. Typically, these transitions have been periods of great conflict because leading powers don't decline without a fight. So how am I measuring an empire's power? In this study, I used 8 metrics. Each country's measure of total power is derived by averaging them together. They are education, inventiveness and technology development, competitiveness in global markets, economic output, share of world trade, military strength, the power of their financial center for capital markets, and the strength of their currency as a reserve currency. Because these powers are measurable, we can see how strong each country is now, was in the past, and whether they're rising or declining. By examining the sequences from many countries, we can see how a typical cycle transpires. And because the wiggles can be confusing, we can simplify it a bit to focus on the pattern of cause-effect relationships that drive the rise and decline of a typical empire. As you can see, better education typically leads to increased innovation and technology development, and with a lag, the establishment of the currency as a reserve currency. You can also see that these forces then declined in a similar order, reinforcing each other's decline. Let's now look at the typical sequence of events going on inside a country that produces these rises and declines. In a nutshell, the big cycle typically begins after a major conflict, often a war, establishes the new leading power and the new world order. Because no one wants to challenge this power, a period of peace and prosperity typically follows. As people get used to this peace and prosperity, they increasingly bet on it continuing. They borrow money to do that, which eventually leads to a financial bubble. The empire's share of trade grows, and when most transactions are conducted in its currency, it becomes a reserve currency, which leads to even more borrowing. At the same time, this increased prosperity distributes wealth unevenly, so the wealth gap typically grows between the rich haves and the poor have-nots. Eventually, the financial bubble bursts, which leads to the printing of money and increased internal conflict between the rich and the poor, which leads to some form of revolution to redistribute wealth. This can happen peacefully or as a civil war. While the empire struggles with this internal conflict, its power diminishes relative to external rival powers on the rise. When a new rising power gets strong enough to compete with the dominant power that is having domestic breakdowns, external conflicts, most typically wars, take place. Out of these internal and external wars come new winners and losers. Then the winners get together to create the new world order, and the cycle begins again.
So that's the changing world order. So that is the reason I brought that up, is because that last part that he was talking about, that's the point in time that we are right now.
Exactly.
Right
Exactly.
now. Okay.
Jose, that video was so timely and on point. And I know that we only have a few minutes here before we wind down, but that's the point of this entire channel. Hot Topics, Safe Pockets, Crypto Corner, What If Wednesdays. We are living in critical times, and preparedness, understanding, where there is a great agenda to remove history, right? Understanding history is the only way that we're going to be able to keep
Mhm.
ahead of, these different changes that's going to go on. So, I'm totally excited. I'll be joining in, or at least tuning in to each of your episodes, and we'll likely have guests come on that are eager to get some questions in with you. But I appreciate the information today.
Yeah,
Very much
and
so.
it's I think it's a important information that everybody should at least be aware of.
Yeah.
And just like you said, if you look back at history, history is cyclical. These things happen one and over and over and over again. So if you could look back at the past, you can prepare for the future. And I'm not saying to put all your eggs in a basket. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is diversify. If the billionaires are diversifying, do the same thing for yourself, right? Make a plan. And as we keep doing these shows, where I'm going to show you how to create a plan, how to create an exit strategy, how to start dollar cost averaging. I'm going to start going over those topics so you guys are all prepared in the next and new financial system, because the dollar ain't going anywhere, but crypto isn't going anywhere. And my belief is that the cryptocurrency technology is just going to go right under our current financial system, and we're all going to be using it without even realizing it.
That's
So,
it, Jose.
yeah.
And again, greatly appreciate it. And just before we cut out here, Jose, you'll be able to do this in closing with people with all different financial backgrounds and circumstances, correct?
Yes, absolutely. I'd love the opportunity to speak with each and every one of you. If you'd like to sit down with me for a free financial consultation, planning consultation, I do those every single day. So I had the link in the description. But yes, we can help every single person and get you guys ready on that train so you don't get ran over by it.